I want to talk to you guys about this particular topic, which is the Black Goddess and Polyandry. All all women are a reflection of the divine, okay? Understand that all women are a reflection of the divine. So when you look at your mother, you should be able to see God. You should be able to see God in your mother, your wife, your aunts, your female cousins, anyone who has a womb. You should be able to see God in her because she has the direct connection to source through her womb, the triple blackness, the darkness of creation, the origin from which we all stem from. The earth, all the planets, everything comes from the darkness, the dark matter of space. A lot of people deem what I say as blasphemy. So if you like to hear blasphemous words that are truth, it would be blasphemy to speak truth if you've been living a lie. If you've been living a lie, then all truth is blasphemy to you. And you know what? You are entitled to your perception and opinion because you are obviously a manifestation of source as well. Well, the issue with your thought process and why you're having a hard time understanding that I'm God is because you think God is a him. I think one thing that people are... Hi, Kuma. I think one thing that people are misconstruing a lot of times is God's pronouns. God has pronouns. Although God may be pure consciousness, God may be the essence from which we all stem from. God is the creative energy, the force in which the universe moves and thrives. God also has pronouns because God has decided to manifest herself into her creation. So God's pronouns is she and her, not he. He would be incorrect because the feminine is the creative principle. I want to explain something to you. Our creator decided to live out this particular existence to experience herself. So from the infinite of darkness, right? She decided she wanted to witness and experience herself, to perceive herself. So she decided to multiply herself so that she can not only experience being herself, but experience herself from an alternate point of view. And understand that God is an umbrella term. It's an umbrella term. It does not speak to an individual because if you understood what divinity is all encompassing. Divinity is all pervading. So if you're thinking about true divinity, the source of all life, you would be able to include not just human beings. You would be also inclusive of plant life and animal life. You would also be inclusive of cosmology. You would also be inclusive of celestial bodies, stars, planets. That is a part of the divine as well. We are not separate from it. And to think that you as a person is separate from your environment is a fallacy. But I want to be able to speak to you guys about your perception of who God is, what God is. I think a lot of times, because of how we believe our Creator looks, it's actually very important. Even though people may think it's not important, it doesn't matter, which is why there are plenty of factions who do not have an image in their place of worship. It doesn't really matter, because you have to understand who your parent is, your cosmic parent, to understand who you are. You are a reflection of your parent, whether they be earthly or cosmic. But the issue is, many people are not genuine in their path. A lot of people utilize the spiritual path or their doctrine to create their own world, to make up rules as they go to fit their own personal desires. So what happens is, it leads many people astray. A lot of misinformation is given out. And let me just make this clear. Anyone who is in my live is here for a cosmic reason. That means you are here to hear something that you otherwise would not have, and it is a message that you need. It is information that you have subconsciously rejected because you know it's truth. So if you're here and you're listening, it is because you may be one of the chosen who are ready to finally hear the truth, even though you may reject it at first, because your conscious mind is obviously the obstacle to your salvation. That's the truth of the matter. You are your own worst enemy. The devil is you. You create your own Satan. That is the truth of the matter. So if you are here inside of a live in which you do not agree, you feel that it is blasphemy, then you shouldn't even be listening to it. But if you are listening to it, it's because you need to hear it. Some part of you desires this information. Some part of you knows that this is the truth. YONISM is the spiritual pathway where we go back to the times when we worshipped fertility. Fertility of the divine feminine principle. Fertility of the earth. Fertility of the woman for producing humanity. So when it comes to YONISM, we worship the black woman as the original and first creatrix of the human civilization. We worship the womb from which all human life stems. We worship the darkness that creates everything. So we are, environmentalists, because we understand that Earth is Mama Gaia, Mama Ta'ert. Whatever name you decide that you would like to give our Earth, that is what we care about. So YONISM is about returning to our ancient practices of goddess worship. It's about knowing and understanding that Mother is God. Mother is the source from which we all come from. So we pray to her, we bow to her, we revere her, and we're going back to that culture. We are doing away with the patriarchy. We are reintroducing a worldwide and global matriarchy. You can call that ginarchy, ginocracy, however you would like to call it. We are reintroducing a world where humanity appreciates and reveres the procreative abilities of the black woman and every other woman. So that means that there's going to be a lot of unlearning that has to happen. There's a lot of deprogramming that we have to do with our subconscious and conscious mind. There's going to be a lot of thoughts that we're going to have to examine to see if they're our own or if they've been strategically placed within our minds to make us into the perfect image to support a system that's detrimental to our life. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So it is a lot, but it is a lifestyle that is so rewarding because it leads you to the truth of humanity. The truth of humanity is that we are children of the Most High Goddess. That's the truth of humanity. Every human being was born from a woman. And if any human being was not born from a woman, you can let me know. That is a universal truth. And it doesn't even matter what spiritual practice you come from or who you think your God is or whatever you think your God's name is. But the truth of the matter is that God's pronouns is she and her. And she birthed us. Okay? She birthed us. The cosmic mother birthed the earth, the worlds that we know of today. They were birthed. Those are the world eggs. You understand what I'm saying? The eggs, all the eggs that's in a woman is all the dimensions, all the multi-realities that is in the cosmic womb. Okay? We are living in one dimensional reality right now. And all the different alternate realities are all its own world egg. Just another egg within the cosmic mother, within the womb of the cosmic mother. Okay? I'm just spreading truth because I want to help humanity recover from this illness that we have had for so long. You know what I mean? We have suffered from the illness of the patriarchy. We've all been conditioned to be mental slaves. And I want to make sure that we break free. And the best way to do that is to basically erase everything we've ever known and start over. We have to become blank canvases so that we can once again be blessed with infinite knowledge, the true knowledge, the truth of everything. Honestly, it's very easy. Basically, everything that we know now, we just have to reverse it. And that's pretty much what the truth is. The truth is the complete opposite of everything that we're living. So if you think man is God, flip that around and understand that God is his mother. The God that you know, I'm not saying he doesn't exist. I'm not saying that the God that you know or subscribe to does not exist. I've never said that. I'm not invalidating anyone's spiritual belief. I believe that you have a right to choose who you bow down and worship. You have a right to choose that. I am in complete support of personal autonomy. But just know that your God has a mother. And that's who we worship over here. So when it comes to Yonism, we're not saying that your God does not exist. The Allah or the Yahweh. Right? What we're saying is your God has a mother. And we worship her. That's what we're saying over here. How I got this knowledge? I got this knowledge from two different things. from going through the process of analyzing self, sitting here and saying, well, all the things that I believe, who told me this, right? Did I come up with this on my own, or did someone tell me this? And these beliefs, what do they make me do? What actions have I taken based off of this belief? How I live my life, or how we live our lives, is directly linked to our spiritual inclination. This is the reason why there are nations who colonize other nations, because they believe in a God that colonizes. You know what I mean? They believe that if you were to strip a nation away from its original belief system and identity and give them yours because yours is the right one, then you are saving them. So this is the reason why we have human beings who go to different nations and countries and colonize, right? And it's all because their God told them it was the best thing to do. Now, I sat in this patriarchal world and I started to analyze what we were doing and how the melanated people and all different marginalized groups are being treated, and our quality of life, the state of being of humanity. I started analyzing the state and health of our earth. One thing I noticed is that humanity has this concept that they are to dominate and conquer. And they do that with each other, themselves, and the earth. So one thing I've noticed is that we have a lot of species that are going extinct. We have oceans that are ridiculously polluted. We have such a consumer mentality that we work in this rat race just to have money so that we can buy the things that we would like, just to feel a sense of wholeness, which we never do. It is an addiction. And I noticed this and I'm like, well, why is it this way? And I went into the Bible. I've always been in the Bible. I went into the Bible and I looked and I'm like, oh, this is why we're this way. It's because the deity that's in this particular book is the one that has told us this is what we're supposed to do. Okay? It has told us to listen to our masters. And that didn't feel right with me. So the second part of me coming into this information was not just utilizing logic and reason to actually sit back and break away from my conditioning, but it was also a turning inward, a meditation of sorts, to listen to my womb and what my intuition was telling me was natural, because what's in nature is divine inherently. So I started looking into nature and I started listening to my womb, my higher self. And I started getting all these downloads telling me what the truth is. The truth is we have strayed far from our natural way of life. The truth is we have strayed far away from source, from divinity and true righteousness. So because we've strayed away from these things, I had to take the time to not be afraid of what life would be like if I got rid of everything that I've ever known. I stopped trying to be what I thought I was supposed to be, and I started trying to be who I am innately. So my journey started out with returning to nature. Returning to nature means so much. Returning to nature is not just taking off your shoes and grounding on the earth, right? It's not just getting rid of meat and being vegan or eating more plant-based. It's not just, doing away with the habits of capitalism, not buying clothes. You know what I mean? Like, that's a part of the journey, and you may need to do that in the beginning. But the truth of the matter is that returning to nature is also returning to your original spirituality and understanding that everything grows from darkness. When you sit down and you watch those sped up videos of how a seed germinates, the roots come out, and then the plant grows up out of the ground, and then it sprouts flowers, you understand the nature of life in general, right? The same thing happens with humans. From the spark of life, we grow. We start from an egg and we grow and we divide ourselves, right? And then we form in the darkness of the womb. And we grow our bones, our muscles, our skin, everything in our mothers. And what happens is our mothers, she provides her blood supply, all her nutrients, to where she has to take supplements, right? Because she's providing her body to create a new body. Understand? You see how powerful that is? And I think a lot of times, because women do it all the time, we have belittled that profound thing. We don't recognize it in the way in which we used to as indigenous peoples. We don't recognize the divinity in creating a human being, because we have read a particular book that says that human beings were made from the dust of the ground, that we don't see divinity and creation happening in front of our face every single day. Because it happens every single day, we have lost the awe. We have lost the ability to see the magnificence and the divinity in front of our face. It's crazy. But to watch a human being, which people belittle what a human being is, they don't see that a human being is a representation of God, right? Their ability to create a whole nother human being is just like, oh, well, that's what she's supposed to do, right? That's what they say. And because it is seen as obligatory or a responsibility, then we no longer appreciate that facet. We no longer can sit here and see how beautiful that is. And no one's ever questioned how maybe that the first human beings was birthed the same way that they're being birthed now. It's really, really interesting. It's really, really interesting. We have such an attachment to words and language inside of a book that the true authorship is unknown. Let's keep it real. The true authorship is unknown. But we place more validity in what we hear versus what we see. And that's something that we have learned. That is a learned behavior. There was a time when humanity was very observant and understood the cycles of nature. We understood the forces and the power of the force that moves and creates. But now we take all of that for granted. We don't revere or appreciate the things that happen every single day. We take trees for granted, even though they're providing oxygen for us to live. You take everything for granted until it disappears. If the sun was to disappear, what would we do? Right? If all the water was to dry up, what would we do? Then we would appreciate water. If rain was to stop falling and we experienced famine, then we would sit there and pray for water. Then we would pray to nature, right? Then we would pray to our mother, our creatrix. Because we only miss things once we don't have them. Then we can see the true value in something once we don't have it anymore. But because women give birth to human beings every single day, it's just something she's quote unquote supposed to do. And then we devalue her, whether she does it and whether she doesn't do it. She's devalued. If she has children, her body's messed up. She's no longer desirable. We don't want her. If she doesn't have children, she's selfish and we don't want her either. She's not trying to be an incubator for us. We don't want her. So we live in this world where it's very contradictory, hypocritical, and lacking truth. We live in an upside down world. Even when it comes to relationships, we're living in a world where women are in service to their creation. The men. And they're so in service to their creation that they will do anything just to quote unquote be married. But let me tell you something. There was a time on this earth where men desired to be married and connected with the goddess. So much so that they'd be willing to be co-husbands, brother husbands, and share her. Now, we live in a world where men push the narrative that women are only supposed to have one man her entire life. But I want to tell you something. If this were true, there wouldn't be natural things set in place. There wouldn't be natural things set in place that would ensure her ability to have multiple interactions. The woman is naturally polyandrous. Men are naturally support. They work better when they work together with another. A lot of women right now are complaining about their husbands and boyfriends and men in general because they're dropping the ball in the relationship area. But the reason why they're dropping the ball is because there is entirely too much pressure on them to perform in a way that is unnatural. They were never supposed to be doing everything by themselves. It is entirely too much responsibility for a man to be an exceptional father, an exceptional companion, an exceptional support, and an exceptional businessman at the same time. That's entirely too much. So, back in the days, one thing that we understood is that men needed each other. They needed to work together to fulfill their husbandly duties. That is something that we all understood back in the day. The issue with today is that the woman is no longer seen in her divine light. So men do not put in the same effort that they once did. They don't feel the need to work together with another man. They don't feel the need to basically fulfill their husbandly duties. They don't have to. Because they have convinced women that their identity and their worth is reliant upon whether she can pull a man. And because of this particular perception, women have faltered. They have been at the mercy of men for thousands of years because they forgot who they were. I'm here to ensure that the goddess remembers who she is. I'm here to ensure that she's able to live her life in her rightful place. I'm here to make sure that she understands her divinity. She understands her worth. She understands that her worth comes from her connection to Source. Her worth does not come from her ability to acquire and maintain a relationship with a man. This falsehood is what has created a mental trap for our goddesses. And I'm here to break us out of this cell. I'm here to break us out of this prison that we have placed ourselves in. And don't get me wrong, yes, the men have their part to play in this particular facade. But it's the goddesses I want to make sure that hear my message. And I want them to take accountability in the part that they play in their own enslavement. Because understand something. These men don't have power unless we give it to them freely. So we have to take our power back. Understand who we are. Understand that we are manifestations of the Most High Goddess. We have to understand that we deserve to live the life we desire. And getting on bended knee and groveling and begging for a relationship, trapping men into relationships with us while we scrape and beg and cry for their validation is not the life we were meant to live. I need us to know that. We were never meant to bow down to our sons. We created our sons so that we can empower them to be their best selves, so that they may become strong and grow and understand cooperation and teamwork and service. One thing that has never left, no matter how much indoctrination we have been subjected to, one thing that has never left is the man's desire to be of service. That feeling of wanting to be needed, that is satiated when you are of service. Once you are useful, once you provide something that the goddess can look at you and say, I appreciate your presence, King. Thank you so much. That happens once you do something. You are the masculine principle. That means you are a doer. That means that you're supposed to be useful. You're the builder. You're the architect. You're supposed to mold and shape this reality in her image. That's what you are here for. But you have got it misconstrued and you have been led astray to feel as though that she's supposed to be groveling and being in service to you. But yet, this reality that you created has left you feeling empty on the inside, and you don't even know why. This falsehood that you have created for a sense of perceived power, perceived, right? Just for you to, in the end, still feel empty inside because you're not living to fulfill your ultimate purpose. You still feel inadequate. You're always in a place of trying to prove yourself, and mainly to other men. You're always trying to prove your manhood, trying to make sure people understand that you are masculine. Understand that you created this reality where you are uncertain and you're insecure, where you don't know who you are and you don't feel fulfilled. All of this is created by your own system. While you may have your perceived power, because it's not true power, you're still empty. You're lost. And you're lost because you've walked away from your mother, the great mother, the cosmic mother. If you were to come back to her, then you would once again know who you are. Then you would once again be able to live out your ultimate purpose. Then you would be able to fill that void. You will once again be fulfilled spiritually. You will be a man of morals and principles, a man of strength. You wouldn't feel insecure and you wouldn't feel inadequate. You would be sure of who you are. You would embody true divine masculinity, naturally, innately, without trying hard. I utilize a different image every time I go live because I want us to get accustomed to seeing the woman as God, no matter what avatar she's in, no matter what shell she is in, no matter what clothing she wears, no matter what her face structure looks like, her features, none of that. You should know that God is the black woman. So I'm going to continue to use different photos. All women are a manifestation of the Most High Goddess. Every person who bears a womb, has a connection to Source. That womb is a microscopic size universe. Understand that, right? Our universe that bears all of the planets is the macrocosm to our microcosm, right? So within our bodies, we have a whole nother universe within our bodies. And the womb is the place, the seat of creation. It is the source of all life. That is a universal truth. It's a global truth. We can see it in every culture. This is why I say that this is a global movement and it's not restrictive to one people or culture, because every woman gives birth. She has the desire to choose to give birth in this particular realm because she is God herself. But she holds the source of all creation within her being. That makes her God. It's a hard pill for you to swallow. What pill? It's hard to swallow. The fact that humanity was fertility worship, goddess worship for millennia before patriarchy came into play. I think that's an easy pill to swallow. It's not. I think that one's very easy. Oh, the women having multiple husbands part. Yes, that one can be a doozy for many men, because it really cements the fact that women are the source of everything. I need us to really think about it. Even in this patriarchal world, right? Even though it is very man-loving. The patriarchy is man-loving. Let's keep it real, right? But there are certain things that have slipped through the cracks of the indoctrination. The desire for women has remained, right? Albeit we subjugate the woman and we devalue her. Yes, we do. But the desire for women remains. And it shows in the amount of money that goes into OnlyFans, right? The amount of money that goes into strip clubs. The reason why prostitution is still a very prevalent practice, no matter how illegal it may be, right? I need y'all to understand that all of these are demonized goddess worship practices. Understand that. I need y'all to understand that, right? Let's get into it. I'm about to tell y'all something that may be something else that's hard for you to swallow. Another pill that's hard to swallow. Going to the strip club, right? And subscribing to OnlyFans, because understand that OnlyFans is just a strip club online. Let's keep it real, okay? OnlyFans is basically the strip club online because of the pandemic. But the strip club is temple worship or sacred prostitution, right? I try not to use prostitution as the word, but the truth of the matter is that it was customary for us to go to the temple to see the goddess do a tantric dance as she invokes her mother deity. That is the truth. So to go into a temple where it's almost like the way we go to church every Sunday or whatever, right? Some of us who go to church, and what we do is we worship and praise, but what they're doing up there is either quote unquote praise dancing, right? Or singing in worship of their deity. That is what we have now. But what we had back then was going into a temple where the goddess was depicted on the walls with her breast bared. That was natural, which is why a lot of times I use AI generated images to come up here and put images of the goddess with clothes on, because the true images, I'm not sure if I can share on this app. The true images of any goddess from back in the day, most of the time, they were bare-breasted. Whether I'm using Yamaya in the sea, or I'm using Inanna, bare-breasted. Or if I'm using Venus, or Artemis, or Aphrodite, it doesn't matter who I use. Even Oshun in the river, anybody. If I put any goddess on here, true images from back in the day, they're going to be bare-breasted. A lot of the goddesses in India bared their yoni, the vagina, the vulva. That is the portal to the source of all life. So if I were to truly show you guys the images that I look at every day, I would be banned. Let's keep it real. So when we see the consistency and the stability of quote unquote prostitution or strip clubs, that's literally an ancient sacred worship practice of going to connect with the divine mother and watching her priestess do a tantric dance where she goes into a trance as she invokes her mother deity. She could have invoked Inanna or anybody. It doesn't matter, because this was done in different countries. And in every country, the goddess has a different name. That's why she's the creatrix with over 10,000 names. We may not be ready to hear certain truths. Like, if I was to bring back goddess worship to 100%, we wouldn't be yet ready, because we're still in our fallen state. We're still in our lower selves. Like, I can't sit here and erect a goddess temple and then have a priestess go in there and decide, okay, it's time for me to evoke my mother deity, and then have people come in and experience that. You know what I mean? And then people would just walk in and automatically be judgmental in their lower self, not be able to see the divinity in it, and they're going to be like, oh, well, she didn't have anything on, I saw boobs, I saw this, how could she have her vagina bared for everyone to see? Like, oh my gosh, she don't love herself. This is how we think right now. We're so lost that we can't even see the divinity in the female body, the form, the temple. But people can sit here and say the body is a temple, but not be able to see the divinity in it, right? You see how hypocritical and retarded that is? How lost we are? Yes, everything is turned around. Everything is demonized. And that's why we need to understand that everything that's basically almost illegal is something we need to be doing. Let's keep it real. So, quote unquote, plant medicine, I won't say which one. Y'all got it, because I know y'all got it. That's how you connect. That's how you see who you are. That's how you know that everything is one and separation is an illusion. That's how you cure yourself from addictions. That's how you build new neural pathways in the brain and get over any addiction that you have, by going to Mama Aya. Let's keep it real. But that's what? It's illegal, right? Okay, because the patriarchy says, I don't want you connected with the Great Mother, because then you'll be healed and you won't need me. Then I can't subjugate you if you are healed and you are enlightened and you're self-actualized. Then I can't make you be my slave. Who's gonna run my system for me? So I'm just here to remind us, let's keep it real, who we are, who we strayed away from, and how we get back to ourselves. That's what I care about. I'm trying to get our people back to who we were, because once we get back to who we were and understand who we are, then we can stand up and actually experience true freedom. Our birthright as human beings. Freedom. We don't even know what that word means. Freedom. The ability to eat what mama provides. Shelter. The ability to live without having to work. Let's keep it real, because that right there is mental slavery. The fact that we have to work to live, no. Working, as far as human beings, should be limited to creation, right? That's what our work is as human beings. We're supposed to be able to create and continue to create, right? So whether we are creating an invention, a new way to do something that will make sure that humanity's life is easier, that's what we create. That's what we will dedicate our lives and energy to, day in and day out. That is what our quote unquote work is supposed to be, right? Or we should be tilling the ground, agriculture, creating more food supply for humanity to live and sustain itself. That's what work should be. It should never be, oh, I'm working so that I can pay rent. It should never be, oh, I'm working so that I can get around and buy a car. That's slavery. The patriarchy is nothing but a system of slavery. And we adhere to it, and we uphold it, and we love it. And it's crazy because there's so many of our people, our men, our kings, right, who believe that if they just learn how to play the game and figure out all the loopholes, then we'll be free that way. But I would like to say I disagree. I disagree. It's not about playing the game in a strategic way to win. It's about getting rid of the game, throwing it off the table, breaking it up, throwing all the pieces on the ground, saying, I'm not playing this stupid game. That's what freedom is. That's what standing up for your birthright is, for your human rights, for your civil rights. And I need us to get back to that space. I need our men to get back to that space where we are saying, I'm not playing this game. This is my world. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of you for being the chosen few. Because it's hard to be that, especially in this world. But let me tell you something. Our time is coming because everything returns to source. Understand that. So yes, we are in our lowest selves now, but we're going to come out of it. Just as life, everything that comes around goes around. Everyone knows that, right? So time moves in cycles. So because we're at our lowest point now, it just means that from your lowest point, you have to rise. That's the only thing that's going to happen. So the consciousness is going to go up from here. So you got to play your part and make sure you are helping educate and elevate the consciousness of humanity. It is now your job. You were one of the ones to wake up. You got to help spread the truth. Get people out of their sleep, even though they like their slumber. That's what you have to do. But I thank you all so much for coming. Today was a great, great day. And hope you all enjoy your Friday. I will see you all later. Remember the great Mother Goddess, and remember to worship the Yoni